First of all, I want to thank my family, my friends, the incredible people of Chicago and all over the country and the world who have prayed for me, who have supported me, who've shown me so much love. No one will ever know how much that has meant to me, and I will forever be grateful. I want you to know that not for a moment was it in vain. I've been truthful and consistent on every single level since day one. I would not be my mother's son if I was capable of one drop of what I have been accused of.
That's Jussie Smollett sticking to his guns about what happened, this hoax. It's an unbelievable story. The jury didn't buy it. He was convicted, but I don't think at any point he's ever going to come clean on the whole thing. Now, for those of you who don't remember what happened, Julie Grant has more for us tonight.
I was walking by and some guys, I don't know, they jumped him or something like that, and I just want to report it and make sure he's all right. What's really weird, man, just because I'm scared, I don't know what it is. They put a noose around his neck.
That was the 911 call that started the complicated saga involving an alleged attack against actor Jussie Smollett. The openly gay actor who starred in the hit TV show Empire told police that two masked men accosted him in downtown Chicago, shouted racist and homophobic insults, and beat him. Police body cam footage captured Smollett showing the noose that he claimed they placed around his neck before fleeing. News of the alleged attack drew outrage, but support for Smollett turned into confusion.
Jussie Smollett is beloved in Chicago because Empire is a huge show, the whole city of Chicago. So when I heard about this, I was appalled. And then as the facts started to come out, things started to smell.
Weeks after the January 2019 incident, Chicago police announced they were questioning two brothers, Abel and Ola Osindaro. Police said the brothers admitted that Smollett had paid them $3,500 to help stage the attack. A few weeks after the charges were brought against Smollett for allegedly staging the hate crime, Cook County State Attorney Kim Foxx abruptly dropped those charges, igniting a firestorm of controversy. A special prosecutor was appointed to examine the case, and a grand jury indicted Smollett on 6 counts of disorderly conduct for allegedly making a false report.
I've been truthful and consistent on every single level since day one. I would not be my mother's son if I was capable of one drop of what I have been accused of. This has been an incredibly difficult time, honestly one of the worst of my entire life.
I don't doubt that. It's been a horrible, difficult time for him, but I mean, ridiculous story, ridiculous story. Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter joining us live tonight from Chicago, Illinois, in the area where Jussie Smollett claimed that he was attacked. Chanley, what can you show us tonight?
Well, Vinny, it was about 3 years ago, January 29, 2019, when Jussie Smollett said he was walking down this road I am on right now around 2 a.m. in the morning. He stopped at this Subway right behind me, picked up a sandwich, and on his way back towards this direction where his apartment is, the Streeterville area here at that corner, you see the Souvenir City shop? At that corner, about a block or so, is where the actual attack, alleged staged attack, took place right here in downtown Chicago. I'm only a couple of blocks from Lake Michigan in this direction, Navy Pier, Vinny, in this direction. And right now, it's a pretty busy area. But remember, this was around 2 a.m. that Jussie Smollett made these allegations, called the police, and what was allegedly a horrific hate crime.
Yeah, turned out to be something completely different, and the jury, came to their decision. Tomorrow is the sentencing of Jussie Smollett. What do we expect to happen inside the courtroom? And we've got and cameras will be in there, right?
Right, that is a big deal here because remember, during the trial, there were no cameras allowed during Smollett's trial and his conviction. But now tomorrow, 2 o'clock Eastern, at a courthouse about 30 minutes from where I'm standing right now in downtown Chicago, Jussie Smollett, his team, the prosecutors return to that courthouse for sentencing. He does face a maximum of up to 3 years for each of those convictions, Vinny. And there are several things that this judge will consider before rendering a decision. There was a pre-sentencing investigation report that took place that will likely reflect his lack of criminal history. The defense will put on mitigation investigation, citing his standing, good reputation in the community, that no one was seriously hurt in this attack. The judge considers the severity of the crimes, of course, deterrence, restitution. There's actually a letter that the superintendent of the Chicago police wrote seeking that the prosecutors ask for restitution for the city of upwards of $130,000 to cover the cost that they spent just pursuing this attack when it happened for weeks. Overtime of the officers working to try to find those responsible for that alleged attack, Vinny. But there's a lot of support still for Smollett. We expect to hear letters that were filed in this court from his family, his 92-year-old grandmother in support of Smollett, as well as Reverend Jesse Jackson, Samuel L. Jackson, and his wife. He's a famous actor, filing letters asking this court for mercy for Smollett.
Yeah, but I mean, prior to this, I don't think he did anything wrong. He was an upstanding member of the community, hardworking, in the middle of a great career. It's just bizarre. So let's remind everyone and remind me exactly what Smollett was convicted of.
He was convicted of 5 of the 6 disorderly counts against him. And here in the state of Illinois, Vinny, that includes making a false police report. So there is a count for each of the times he lied to police during their investigation. So if we break it down, count 1 covered the fact that he falsely reported a hate crime. He told an officer that responded to his apartment those early morning hours that the attackers put a rope around his neck. Count 2 accused Smollett of falsely reporting a battery, referring to Smollett telling that same officer the attackers poured bleach on him. Counts 3 and 4 stemmed from Smollett making the same claims but to a different officer hours later. Count 5 accused Smollett again of telling that officer that he was a victim of a battery. Count 6 was the one that this jury acquitted him of, and that was Smollett reporting an aggravated battery, which here means that these attackers wore a mask or a hood or some sort of robe. That's what made this an aggravated battery. But the jury decided to acquit him of count 6, and that is something, Vinny, that this jury picked up on maybe, but the defense has definitely picked up on in their motion for a new trial, saying that makes this an inconsistent verdict, which means that maybe the jury had an inconsistent finding of fact. They're hoping that that would overturn this conviction because essentially they say Smollett told the same story just 6 different times to different people, and it wouldn't warrant an inconsistent verdict like that.
All right, tomorrow, big day for Jussie Smollett. You'll see it right here on Court TV. Chanley Painter will be there in Chicago. Thank you so much, Chanley. Let's bring back in the think tank. Eklund Mercy, Nima Rahmani, Josh Schiffer still with us. Josh, I got to start with you. What's the most ridiculous part of his story?
Oh, just the audacity of it all when it was so contrived. And there's so many different reasons that people have talked about. What was his motivation for this? And there's questions. Is it a mental health issue? Is it a quest for fame? Is it some sort of attention grabbing? Is this the result of some sort of trauma that he had early in his life? And this was how he expressed it. It just doesn't make sense. And what is coming out of this is how serious his actions were. And I believe the judge is really going to take his time. The judge is allowing cameras in for the first time. That means the judge wants to get heard with this sentence.
All right. I'll tell you, Eklund Mercy, our political expert here, what I believe is the most ridiculous part of his story was that there were 2 people, immigrants from Nigeria, who were walking around the streets 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m., screaming out that this is MAGA country in the coldest day of the year. I found that to be absurd, but that's what he's alleging, that they were just randomly doing and somehow ran into him and they happened to have a noose with them. I mean, the whole thing is preposterous. Eklund, is downtown Chicago MAGA country?
Well, life imitates art far more than art imitates life. And I feel like with regards to this case, we weren't privy to the trial, so I don't know exactly what pieces of evidence led to the conviction. But I just, with the facts of the case and, the facts of, the testimony that Mr. Smollett probably provided, it just feels like it's somebody who was, if you ever played the game flinching, like you ever just like made you flinch, and it's like that sense of anxiety, like something may happen to you, so you do it instead. I just had a feeling that, around that time, Black men were consistently being like chopped down by law enforcement, or we had, children being murdered by police officers. It was just back to back to back to back to back. And if you're a Black man existing in that time, it wouldn't be far fetched to just want to stop the bleeding, want to stop the anxiety. It may be me. And and then to have something like this manifest is different. I don't know the facts of the case, so I can't call his story ridiculous or not because I don't know what was presented. But I think that there can be a reasonable explanation.
All right. We shall hear it tomorrow in court. Nima Rahmani, I'll give you the final word on this. Do you think what would better serve him, to just come clean tomorrow with some explanation as to why he did what he did, or stick to his story and roll the dice on the appeal and hope that a court overturns his conviction and a new jury will see it his way?
Vinny, he should come clean, but he's a narcissist who won't and a compulsive liar, and he's getting bad legal advice. And one point of clarification for both of you, Vinny and Shanley, he does have criminal history. He was arrested in 2007 for a DUI here in Los Angeles, and he provided false information to police officers here. He gave his brother's name. This isn't the first time he's lied to law enforcement. He's going to continue lying tomorrow during sentencing, or he's not going to say anything. And I agree with Josh. Judge Lynn is going to send a message tomorrow. He's allowing cameras in. He's not doing that to give Jussie Smollett probation. He's getting jail time tomorrow, Vinny.
All right, still ahead.